for spinal cord injury, the equipment that you need is going to be a rolly stool, a transfer board, a gait belt, a wheelchair, and a clamp. Okay, all right. So I have to take off rings, right? Okay, so we want to make sure that you take those off. A client who has a spinal cord injury, talk to me about their sensory function. It's diminished, right? So they're probably, they can't feel anything. So if my ring were to cut your leg, you wouldn't even know it. That could develop into some kind of an infection, right? So it's really important that you are always looking out for the patient's skin. It's also important, like one of the interventions or treatment sessions that you would do is teach them how to inspect their skin. Okay? We have a mirror, it's on kind of like a handle, and it's bendable so they can check like their behind, they can check their shoulder blades, because it's amazing how quickly like a blister or something can form. Okay? Even something like their shoes being tied too tight can affect that. Okay? So it's good to keep all of those things in mind. You said that I need to bring this chair to a 45-degree angle. All right, what do I do next? Okay, looks. Next. Yeah. Yeah. So the transfer that we're going to do is a C6 spinal cord injury. Tell me a little bit about C6. What are they? What's the functional ability that they have? They can breathe on their own. What about shoulders? Yep, they have a little bit of shoulder shrug.
They use the eating thing. Universal cuff.
Yep, they can use a universal cuff. Good. What's the other, remember there was a star that was beside that one? Tenodesis.
Yeah.
Yep, good. So they have this tenodesis aspect. They're gonna be able to help a little bit with this transfer, okay? So initially when you see them, they're gonna be completely dependent, right? So here is where now we have to work on getting them a little stronger and getting them to be able to endure the session, you know, endure treatment for a little while. So, so you're working on strengthening and endurance initially, okay? So, but you're not gonna be able to hand them like a 5-pound weight to do this, right? You have to figure out other ways of doing some strengthening. So, does she have tetraplegia or paraplegia? C6. Tetra. Okay, remember? So that's gonna be to T1. So at T1 we start paraplegia. Okay. So she's gonna have tetraplegia, so that means all 4 extremities are going to be affected. She's gonna have limited sensory and motor in there. Okay? What's her balance gonna be like? Not good. Okay? So I have to be the therapeutic tool for her. Okay? So, all right, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna show this to you and then maybe we can talk about it a little bit more. I feel like we get to talking when I don't do. So, all right, so I'm gonna take these off. So, you need a transfer board. This transfer board, most of them I would say are wooden, okay? Some of them have a nice shellac on them. If they do, they're very slippery, so you have to be very careful. If they don't, have a tendency to possibly have a splinter. So you just have to make sure that you're being very careful with that, okay? So, some people will call this a sliding board. If you call it a sliding board, what does that indicate? You're sliding, right? Like a sliding board. So if this is wooden and there could be a chance of a splinter being in there, for somebody with a spinal cord injury, you don't want them to slide, right? So it's a transfer board. So I want them to use this kind of as a bridge to get from one surface to another. Okay? Okay. You can see that there's a hole on one side. So for the most part, this could be placed on, if we had an extension on the wheel lock, that could be there to kind of hold it in place. Because as you continue to get better, get stronger, you're gonna be able to do this independently. So somebody with C6 spinal cord injury can do this independently. All right. So then, what we'll do. All right. Somebody with spinal cord injury, we are going to make sure that you're always lifting from the butt. Always. So, you know how we learned yesterday that if you put your hands on somebody's butt, then that's like max assist, this is mod assist, this is min assist. So that's, it doesn't apply for somebody who has a spinal cord injury, okay? You have to talk with them regarding how much assistance they're going to be able to provide. So for example, whenever we're talking about, like I said, initially when you work with them, they're gonna be completely dependent. They won't be able to do this at all. But as they get stronger, they're gonna be able to start to help. And eventually they can do it independently. So, with that being said, you're going to see that I'm holding her underneath her butt. And, but you're giving 50% and I'm giving 50%.
Mostly through my arms.
Correct, mostly through your arms. The other thing is, when you have a spinal cord injury, you have limited control of your upper body, right? We talked about balance types of things. So, the way this transfer is gonna go is you're gonna lean over my shoulder, and I want you to stay leaning on my shoulder, okay? So you're just helping with your arms. Alrighty, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna transfer from this wheelchair to the mat. See the mat?
Yep.
What color is it?
Blue.
Okay, so we're going to go over to this blue mat and we're going to use this transfer board. Okay, so I'm gonna put this underneath your butt and we're gonna use this as a bridge. So we'll, so this part's gonna be over here, you're gonna come to here, and then come over here. Okay? Now, so we'll take off this wheel, or this armrest. There. My feet, my knees are going to hold on to her knees. I have to control all of her body at this point, right? Okay. So what we're gonna do is, this arm is going to come around the armrest here, because as she gets stronger, she's gonna be able to help to kind of go to the side a little bit. So I'm gonna put this. Wonderful. Okay. So I need to make sure that you and I are eye to eye. Front.
Oh, like eye level.
Okay? Because if I'm too tall, then she's gonna be kind of like just dangling. If I'm too short, then you're gonna be, yeah, way over, okay, and I'm gonna lose it. So, all right, so what you're gonna do is we're gonna put one hand here, bring this arm around, and here, okay? Then I'm going to lean you forward over my shoulder. Then what we'll do on the count of 3, we're gonna come to the middle of the board. I'm going to readjust, and then we'll come over to the
How are you getting me to the middle of the board?
You're gonna help me with
Slide.
your arms.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Aw.
Alright, okay, I'm gonna put my hands underneath your butt.
Okay.
We're gonna lift to the middle of the board. Stay on my shoulder.
Okay.
Okay? Count of 3. 1, 2. Count of 3. We're gonna go to the mat. 1, 2. Alright, so then, and typically, so she'll still here, okay, we're gonna scoot back just a little bit, 1, 2, 3, okay, alright. So this is how we should land, don't move your feet. See how her feet are staggered? That's what we want, okay? So you gotta think about it and go slow. Don't try to whip them over there. Okay, so your client is not a sack of potatoes. We're not, nice and slow. Okay? That's C6. Good with that? Okay, the next one that we do, through the power and the magic of occupational therapy school, we now have a T12 spinal cord injury. Okay? So T12, tell me a little bit about T12.
Yeah, like trunk control, good posture.
Yes, so better trunk control, good posture. Are they tetra or paraplegia? Para, good. All right, and she has a lot more upper body strength and ability, right? Okay, so then, with that being said, we have the client is always gonna be an active participant. So what I would like for you to do is come a little bit closer to here. I want you to angle yourself towards the chair. Perfect. Okay. So then, this hand is going to come over to here. This hand stays here. What we're going to do is we're going to hop into the chair. Not necessarily hop. Scoot up. Okay. You're going to lean on this shoulder. So on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So again, look at your feet. Thank you. So they're staggered, right? So think about that normal movement of how we talked about feet need to be staggered, right? So it's the same kind of concept right here. Okay? So then, what you do is you put the armrest back on, and then you can put the leg rest on. And your client's ready to go.